Hey guys, what's up? It's Yukata Red here, and today we have a very special Sonic Mania hype playthrough of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Now, I've been wanting to do this for well over a month now, just as, kind of something to hold us all over until Sonic Mania gets released, which we are only about 4 days out from the release of Sonic Mania, and I don't know about you, but the hype is at maximum levels. I've been waiting for a traditional remake of the original Sonic Trilogy since I was a kid. I mean, ever since this game came out. I mean, this game, when this game was released, let me tell you something. I probably played this thing for hours every day for years. I mean, I had, obviously, as you can see, I mean, this is a recent foray. I've played this game through so many times, I don't even know where to start. But, needless to say, I love this game. The Sonic series has always had a kind of a special place in my heart. Sonic 2 being the first game I ever owned. I was always a Sega Genesis fan, Team Sega. Didn't start getting into Nintendo stuff till way down the road. So here we are. We are going to try to go through this entire game casually, no frills, not trying to get all the emeralds, not trying to make any speedrun records or do anything crazy. If I die, it is what it is. If I die a lot, it is what it is. Hopefully we don't die a lot. I've considered myself fairly decent at this game. I mean, the special stages are another story, but as many emeralds as you see here, these were long, hard battles where I probably died numerous times, but anyway, I say we dive right in and we'll see where this kind of adventure takes us. I'll be talking about, Sonic Mania and what to expect, what kind of levels we might be seeing. I mean, I know they've released some footage of quite a bit of the game so far, but rumor has it that it's about as big as this game. So it just makes you wonder, like, what, Sonic Mania has in store for us. If it's any bit as good as this game, it's going to almost be an instant classic. I think a lot of people are writing it off as just, since it's only $20, it's not a full-scale AAA type of game. Doesn't fall in line with, the typical games you see nowadays. It's just a, 2D platformer, just some nostalgia fuel. But if they pull it off right, it could be so much more. This game, for example, had all the right pieces. I decided to play this game rather than Sonic 1 or 2, just because I feel like this game was the most balanced of the trilogy, the most well-rounded, had the most options, easily the best bosses. I always thought Sonic 2's bosses were kind of flimsy. What special stage is that? That's the... Yeah, we don't want any part of that. Let's see what we can do here. I'm not exactly trying to race through the game, but we're not also trying to dawdle here. Let's see if we can keep up with decent pace. Let's see if Sonic can live up to his name. Oh, that's something else I want to talk about going through this playthrough too, is the misconception I think a lot of people have about the Sonic series. I think for people that came to Sonic late, don't really know a lot about it, didn't play it as a kid, kind of think of the original series as something you're supposed to just race through, and I mean, I know it sounds kind of odd. Well, like, of course you're supposed to race through. It's a Sonic game. But these games were so much more than just races. To me, they were robust platformers that you could explore and, You know, there's always something new every time. I mean, I still go back to these levels, and there's little nooks and little areas that you forget about, haven't seen them in years, stuff like that. I mean, these games, while they did lend themselves to speed, if you really know them by heart, they're more of rhythm. Rhythm is what's more important than the speed. The idea that they were designed specifically to just race through, I don't know. I think Sonic actually got away from its roots when the games started to just be all about, like, races, as if every game was supposed to be like a giant Mario Kart or something like that. I don't think that's what the original trilogy, the spirit of the original trilogy was. I mean, anyone who's played through levels like Scrap Brain, Hydrocity, Marble Garden, you know, these Oil Ocean, these levels were not designed. Mystic Cave, I mean, the Metropolis, none of these levels were actually designed for speed. They have speed in the physics. They have speed in the physics of the game, but in the actual, you know, in terms of racing through the level, nah, not at all. They were meant to be explored. They were meant to be enjoyed. And I feel like they took the Sonic gimmick, or the marketing of Sonic being like a fast, like, oh, he races, that's what he does. Like, I think they took that one step too far. I mean, even in Sonic 3D Blast, which I think was actually a decent game, a lot of people would probably disagree with me on that, but I think Sonic 3D Blast was a solid game. But even in that game, speed was the least of your concerns in that game. In fact, going fast in that game was probably a detriment. Yeah, and that's where I think a lot of people lose sight of the Sonic games, and why Sonic might be at the core of why Sonic in general has had such an identity crisis. I don't think any singular game series has had so much of a identity crisis as Sonic. I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. They tried to take the image of what they build up Sonic as this super fast, you know, lightning speed type of a character, and they built entire games around it. And you can't just throw a character into like a giant racing simulation without any other gameplay elements and without any other reason for that stuff to exist and expect results. The resulting games that came of that type of mindset were pretty much, I mean, varying degrees of lackluster, I guess you could say, and they went away from the platforming element. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. They ditched the thing that made the original Sonic Trilogy special, and that was its perfectly solid platforming. Platforming like most other games of the time could only dream of replicating. You know, I'm a huge fan of the Sega Genesis era platformers, don't get me wrong. I've played numerous games in that were considered to be quote-unquote Sonic ripoffs. I wouldn't go that far. Sonic itself is kind of a generic platforming style that's reminiscent, of course, of, you know, Mario and other games. So I wouldn't say that there's such a thing as a Sonic ripoff, but let's take care of this guy first. There we go. Cake. Throwing it out there, this has to be one of the easiest Sonic levels of all time. Alright, well, yeah, I just think they got away from the element of the original Sonic Trilogy that made the game what it was, and that was the platforming. You take away the platforming and the physics of the original games, and what do you have? You don't have the games anymore, they just use the character. And to me, that's a recipe, that's just a recipe for disaster. You're taking away what makes the game special. And after years and years and years of banging their heads against the wall, trying to figure out what fans want out of the Sonic series, it's not about stylizing the characters, it's not about big 3D worlds, it's not about all this other crazy stuff that they've concocted over the years, and we're talking, I mean, Sega has tried everything in their power to reinvent the Sonic series, which the funny thing is it never needed to be reinvented in the first place. The original core Sonic gameplay is probably about as solid as you can come in a platforming series. And even though they tried, I think they gave it like a decent try. Oh, that was a bad move right there. They tried to reclaim it in... I'm getting my... I'm getting all whacked around here. Yeah, they tried to replicate that in Sonic 4, but they still tried to incorporate elements into the Sonic game series that were not a part of the original, but made it good. Different physics, 3D gimmicks that had no business being in the game. Just weird graphics, didn't really hold true to the original series. You know, it's pretty bad when another game, like a third-party company, can come along and make a game like Freedom Planet, which I think faithfully stuck to the original ideals of the Sonic series better than most Sonic games have over the recent years. And that's just a testament to just how far Sonic has come, or Sega has come, by missing the mark. I mean, they've strained so far away from what fans want. I mean, I look at a game like Sonic Colors, and I'm like, what were these guys smoking when they came up? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's plenty of games out there that, you know, are not for everybody, but they have their fan base. That I think, like, the Sonic Adventure games, for example, fall into that category. I was never a big fan of them, but they do have their, you know, their following. I think the music's in them is pretty good, but it's just, you see what they try to do, and I'm like, and I can't be the only one who thinks, like, wow, like, I have no idea what they were trying to aim for in terms of a Sonic game. I mean, let this guy spin us around a little bit. I actually prefer fighting this boss with the insta-shield rather than the bubble shield, but we took care of him. We're just breezing through the first chunks of this. I better get that now, I won't be able to get it later. Yeah, but you have these just crazy 3D games with none of the original elements of the Sonic Trilogy. And people, and Sega wonders why it has floundering sales and terrible reviews on its games. And, you know, you would think the developers would be like, oh, I don't know, maybe let's go back to what made our company famous and, you know, profitable in the first place. Not to say that fans and nostalgia should dictate the course of a video game company, but I mean, come on. it's like the Sonic formula writes itself. The Sonic formula writes itself. It always has. I go back to these games all the time. I mean, Sonic 1, as old as it is still a 100% playable, awesome game. And when was it made? I mean, we're talking about years and years and years have gone by, and this game holds up. I could play this game for hours still to this day, and I've beaten it probably 24 times over the course of my life, and it's still just as fun. A little less annoying since I know where everything is, but in the latter levels I still get my butt handed to me at certain points. I'm especially not that keen on Lava Reef Act 2. That level has always given me fits, especially with Sonic, but we'll get to that, you know. We'll get to that bridge. But the bottom line with Sonic Mania is, I think after years and years of trying out a bunch of different stuff, and they're still trying, they got new games coming out that, you know, might be questionable, but Sonic Mania is it's not just nostalgia fuel. A lot of people look at it like that, like, oh, this is just some, you know, this is basically just fan, you know, just a treat for the fans, in other words. I would beg to differ, though. I think SEGA may look back at Sonic Mania as when they finally righted the ship. I think that it's going to be that big. It's not... I don't hold any illusions that Sonic Mania is going to be this bang-out, awesome hit. It's a 2D platformer, you know, they do all right in niche circles these days. It's a Sonic game. That alone, you know, it's got the branding. But is it gonna, you know, shatter any, you know, sales records, or is it gonna redefine gaming? Not even close. But I think Sega's gonna finally realize, like, hey, guys, I think maybe we've been, you know, smoking something this whole time. Maybe we've been, you know, ignoring our fan base. Maybe we've been sitting on a cash cow this whole time and we don't even know it. I mean, they could very well pump out a Sonic Mania-esque game every year for the foreseeable future, and a lot of suckers would buy it. I'm one of those suckers. I could play... Do you know how many Sonic ROM hacks I've played? I could play Sonic regular, just base Sonic levels, just non-stop, because the gameplay is that good. The physics are that good. The explorative quality of the game is that good. The action, the speed, it's all right. It just all flows perfectly. I could play endless little Sonic Manias were they to create them at a decent clip. So I think this might possibly be a renaissance for Sega. At the very least, I think it'll show a different side of them. Or like, hey, maybe we can actually, you know, once in a while, they don't have to start going this route completely, but once in a while, maybe they'll make a Sonic Mania 2, if it does well enough. Maybe they'll, you know, make other remakes of some of the classic Sonic levels, because, you know, we obviously know that we don't know, what do we have footage of? Chemical Plant and Green Hill? Is there any other, classic levels that we have footage of yet? I haven't watched all the previews and seen all the hype footage yet, because I don't want to spoil too much for myself, but needless to say, they're going to have some classic levels in it, and I think that they could play off that alone. They could introduce another game where, you know, they throw 3 or 4 classic levels in and make a couple new ones. It can't possibly be that hard. I mean, if they have a team of developers that are building these sophisticated 3D games and all this stuff, you've had, you know, single people in their basements making ROM hacks of Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 for the last, you know, I don't know how many years, and a lot of those games have better level design and ingenuity in them than most of the 3D platformers for Sonic that have come out in the recent years. So, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. So, it can't possibly be that difficult to throw together a solid 2D Sonic game. Not to say that Sonic Mania was just cobbled together in a fortnight, but we have to think that this might be the start of, you know, something bigger and better for Sega, I guess. On that note, how's everybody liking Marble Garden? I have to say that I am a huge Sonic 3 and Knuckles fan, but Marble Garden gets my vote as my least favorite Sonic 3 and Knuckles level. It is annoying on a whole range of levels. It's got a ton of relatively annoying enemies. I don't like the little bouncy spike guys. I don't like those little floaty. I don't like these things. They're relatively annoying. The tops are possibly one of the most annoying gimmicks in the history of Sonic. Never really understood what the developers were intending, but the physics are lacking on them. If that's a kind way to put it. Did I dodge the annoying top part of this level? There's a little series of top parts in this. I think is it in the second act? I don't know. But and on top of all that, this level may have one of the most annoying bosses in the history of the original Sonic Trilogy. And that's might even be by a long shot. I mean, for all the gimmicks of, you know, platforming bosses down through the ages, including ones that change, you know, turn the game on its head and do away with, you know, the physics engine completely, like, you know, bosses where you fly a plane or do any of that type of stuff that is a common motive in platformers. They just decided to go just crazy with the second act boss of this level, with the tails, flying shenanigans, and what special stage is that? Do I want to be a part of this? I am like a lot of people, this special stage, they avoid it completely because they don't like it. They don't know how to work it. I've become something of a seasoned pro at the Orb special stage. In fact, it's by far my favorite Sonic special stage of all time. I can always juke good loots from this thing. Usually a life if I'm good enough. Just got to get to the top. See if you can't get either get a up here. You get a nice ring bonus. Yeah, see, I have 444 rings. I mean, at that point, it's pretty much it's time to stop. I mean, that's if I manage to keep my rings through this thing, it's gonna be a little chunk. It's gonna be a hefty little chunk. Let's see if we can't not get our butts handed to us by this thing. Oh, wow. Did I know that happened? The things you forget and the things you remember in these games. Alright, we are flying. That ring bonus is juicy. Let's talk about the music that might be hiding in Sonic Mania. I don't know, I've always been an amazing music fan. Of video games, I mean. I'm a fan of music in general, but video game music, I don't know, it's always just... I always felt like a little bit of effort was placed in video game music that you don't often see in normal music. Not to say that there's no... that they're, you know, the two are comparable. They're really, like, kind of... We're talking about apples and oranges here in a certain sense, but... I always thought video game music had a certain special something to it because a lot of it was specifically designed knowing that you would hear it over and over and over and over again. Now, I mean, I guess the same holds true in a way for regular, you know, pop, rap, and all that good stuff, but there's just something... There's a quality to a lot of video game music that I think everybody can agree that it sets a tone, I guess you could say, and that's something that a lot of music doesn't do. It sets a tone and it kind of builds a little bubble of nostalgia and just, you know, different emotions. Sonic music, of course, I knew that was the one that slaps you right into this little the flying porcupines, but the Sonic series has always had solid music. I mean, I still appreciate to this day the composition of a lot of the tunes in the original trilogy. Even this song, I always thought Marble Gardens music was perfect. The way the second act theme is a little bit kind of more forlorn and creepy, if that makes sense, than the first act, and like the way that was kind of weird. The way the fast-paced levels always had like a great kind of action-sounding song that was addictive. Ice Cap is a good example. And the slow levels had the appropriate music. Even levels that don't get a lot of love, like Loyal Ocean in Sonic 2. Beautiful composition in that song. And like, you know, that's one of the underrated songs in the Sonic series. You got awesome boss music. You got, oh god, what are we doing here? There's probably better ways to fight that guy, but whatever works, right? Is there another one over here? Yeah. But that all goes to say, what are we expecting from Sonic Mania? So far, the songs that they've released have been nothing short of spectacular. I mean, you know, we are dealing with, you know, a team that, despite giving us some lackluster games over the past few years, has always been pretty solid in the music department. Especially when it comes to their Sonic titles. But here we have Sonic Mania, and let me tell you, when they released the sound clip for Stardust Speedway, yeah, the fangasm was pretty real. While not being a huge fan of Sonic CD, the music in Sonic CD was nothing short of immaculate. And Stardust Speedway, of course, is probably one of the most gorgeous levels and soundtracks of any of the Sonic series. And to think that that level is going to be replicated in Sonic Mania, well, I mean, what do we have? That, Green Hill, Chemical Plant, that awesome new level, Mirage Saloon. I mean, that alone is enough to make me want to just play it now. Just right now. Give it to me. I'm going to be streaming and playing it. Be ready for it. There's ample amounts of Sonic Mania footage is going to be added to my YouTube. Incoming. Expected. I mean, it's probably going to make up half my channel for a good portion of the remainder of the year. Until Freedom Planet 2 comes out, and then I'm probably going to abuse that. In all honesty, though, I'm expecting the music in Sonic Mania to be pretty awesome. Wow, this boss, oh. Alright, so we got half of them down. We got 4 hits on them, which is pretty solid. I didn't lose my shield either. Sometimes I get over zealous at that part and just, you know, throw myself at him. Oh, Tails, what are you doing? You're leading me into the pit. See, this fight is a little bit easier with Sonic than it is with Tails. But Tails is just a nightmare. I also have my fire shield, which kind of, and then I can get out of the way like that. And it kind of makes this fight a little bit bearable. Yeah, no, that was one of the better forays into that fight, I would say. I sometimes actually have trouble with that boss still to this day. Thing is a pain in the ass when it gets advantage of you, especially when you're just Tails solo. My god, is that boss a pain. They should have adjusted Tails' hitbox for that fight, like, you know, maybe give him some head ramming action or something. I don't know. Hopefully there's nothing like that in Sonic Mania, but you know you know what makes a platformer, especially like a retro or a classic platformer, what makes it are not the parts you breeze through and really have fun playing, it's the parts that make you rip your hair out, because that's what you remember. I think a lot of people recognize this game for this level because it's the part with the dreaded Pillar of Doom that about half of everyone who ever played this game couldn't get past normally until well after their childhood years. I had to hacks my way through the Pillar of Doom, for instance, when I was a kid. I used to have a turbo, one of those turbo controllers, and I would rapid jump my way through it. I mean, how many of us, you know, we never pressed up and down on that thing. We never, I don't understand it. When I came back to it years later after I was a kid, I was like, why did I ever get stuck at this? Like, what was I doing with my life? But I don't know, I probably should have grabbed that bubble shield. Bubble shields are a little bit more useful in this level, but we'll see how the fire shield... maybe we can grab one in here. But yeah, no, I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, oh, there we go. If I can... we have a chance to still grab a bubble shield, though. Some ringage. Oh, there we go. We got what we came for, friends. But yeah, I don't know what I was thinking with that pillar. But anyway, yeah, what you remember in platformers is often the stuff, those weird little quirky parts that make you want to just, you know. Oh, I lost the shield already. There, that was called. I wasn't letting things flow with that. Where are we going? The craziness of this level cannot be understated, but Sonic Mania, for it to be a true classic, has to have at least one weird little gimmick part. One boss, or one difficult platforming area, or one stupid gameplay gimmick that, you know, we all get stuck at for, you know, a good month or week. Send some people to some message boards like, just got Sonic Mania, was having a blast with it until I got to XYZ part, ripping my hair out, been banging my head against the wall for 3 hours, help. You know that's got to be in the game somewhere. I hope they have more stuff like this in it, honestly. I always thought this boss was cool as hell. But... uh-oh. We've got a little bit of a situation. Ow. There we go. This boss can get out of hand real fast if you don't take care of it. That was a little bit hairy. I remember when I was a kid, this boss always used to kind of give me, like, the creeps, because I knew, like, you know, you let that thing destroy enough of the blocks, it's, you know, a pit of death beneath it, and it's like, oh god. Talk about tension. Tension for 10-year-olds, that's what that is. On to Act 2, one of the longest levels in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Whew. Yeah, but you know there's got to be at least one weird gimmick part of Sonic Mania to really make it stand out and give it that classic platformer feel. You think you're doing great, you're just racing through the game. Ah, this is a breeze, this is just like the classic Sonic. Oh, wow, we almost just got the dumbest death of my Sonic career. I don't mind dying, but dying like that's... Let's not drown either, friends. Okay, there we go. Let's get out of that. Jeez. Yeah, I expect to die at least once on this run. Probably in, like, something stupid like Sandopolis or Death Egg or something. Or in the bottom area of Ice Cap. Yeah, let's get... Mistime a jump and fall in the ice water. That sounds about right. I can see that happening very easily. Oh, what is that? What are you doing to me, game? What? There we go. Alright, let's see here. Kill that thing. Ah. Zappy bits. We don't want to get caught by the zappy bits. I'm actually also interested to see what bosses that Sonic Mania has, because the Sonic games, I don't know, some people find them difficult, the original Trilogy's bosses, but to be honest, coming from, you know, I've played these games well over, you know, 2-3 dozen times, and the bosses have never been difficult. I think there's a couple bosses in this game, for instance, the boss of Ice Cap. I've never played that boss well. In fact, that might be where we have our first death at. Very likely. Thing is a pain in the ass. But, oh god, where are we going? Knuckles is about to turn the lights out on us. But overall, a lot of the bosses in the Sonic series are just painfully easy. Like, for example, Sonic 2? Like, I never understood the reasoning behind a lot of the bosses in Sonic 2. Can I get back up here? Is it gonna let me do that? Do I have to, like, do something like that, and then, like... I want my bubble shield. Isn't the bubble shield over here, or am I just, like, tripping? Is it a life or a bubble shield? Something. Yeah, I knew the bubble shield was over here. Not gonna deny me my shield. I'll probably lose it immediately because I took so long trying to get it. You know how that works. But it's all good. We got 16 lives. Smooth sailing. And then we get crushed by a pillar. But yeah, the bosses in Sonic 2, I don't know. I always thought they were easy. That's the funny thing about Sonic 2. The bosses were all easy to the point of being stupid almost. Except chemical plants. Chemical plants is a little weird. But then, you know, you've got bosses like Mystic Caves and Oil Oceans, which are just a complete joke if you know how to fight them. And then Metropolises, which, you know, is also pretty simple. You just have to know when to jump. If you don't rush into that boss, you're pretty good. But then you get the last boss, the two final bosses of that game, which are both difficult and you have to fight them without any rings. So the game goes from 0 to 100 so fast. I mean, granted, they're not the hardest things in the world, but that's why, you know, if you want to say the Sonic games are perfect, you'd be mistaken, because they do have their props. Every single one of them had, even the original trilogy, definitely has their props. Sonic 2, I don't know what they were thinking with the final bosses. The difficulty spike. Even the boss of Winged Fortress, I mean, you have rings for it. So, I mean, if it gets out of control, you know, you can collect your rings. Are we at the Pillar of Death? Is that what this is? Yeah, I mean, we're gonna go past this. Oh. Are we gonna die at the Pillar of Death? No, I'm not gonna let that happen. But, yeah, I never got that. You go through these bosses and it's, you know, smooth sailing, you have your rings, you know, get hurt a couple times maybe if you're careless. You know, Winged Fortresses is kind of hard. You're in a tight spot. Oh, wow, that was about to be a Sonic pancake. But and then you get to the final boss, and you know, for example, the Robo Sonic or Metal Sonic or whatever. That thing has like the smallest hitbox of any boss in the history of Sonic. That, you know, you hit it in its face basically, or the top of the front of its head, and if you over jump by a millimeter, you'll die on its spikes. You under jump and you hit its torso, you'll die. It's got a predictable pattern, but I still to this day sometimes don't remember the chain. So, you know, you'll jump when you're supposed to stand still, or you'll stand still when you're supposed to jump, and you'll get smacked right in the face. That was kind of a bad. But yeah, no, and then of course the final boss of that game, the Walker. I mean, I think some people find it easy. Oh. That was kind of bad. Not the most graceful way I've ever beaten that boss, but okay. But anyway, yeah, that Walker thing, you fight the Robo Sonic, and you know, you have to hit that thing 8 times without getting touched. Pray, you know, your hands are, you know, not twitching, so you can still play the game after trying not to have a aneurysm while not getting, you know, touched by Robo Sonic, and then they throw you into the pit. Can we just appreciate Ice Cat music for a little bit? Yeah, it's still just as good as ever. But yeah, you come across Egg Robo, and then you've got to hit this thing more times than any boss in the game. He's got odd times when you can hit him. I mean, you can hit him almost at any time, but that's easier said than done. I mean, you kind of almost got to chance it, because if you get hit, if you mistime the jump, you'll hit his spiky arms or whatever. And then there's also the weird gimmick with that boss. I never really understood like what causes it or why it happens, but if you jump at him wrong or overcompensate the jump, like if you lean too hard into any jump into his torso to attack him, you'll fall right through him and die. You'll fall into his body and then you'll hit his arm and you'll die. And then you die. You obviously, you get hit once and you're dead because you don't have any rings, and you can't have rings for that boss. And then you have to fight Robo-Sonic. So the game, which is generally pretty easy, Sonic 2 is a pretty easy game by retro platforming standards. I mean, you want to talk about, difficulty in platformers from that era. You can point to almost any other game and it'll be harder than Sonic 2. Sonic 2 is a pretty simple platformer. There's only a tiny handful of places like that, like the Death Pit area of Wing Fortress, that are even worth noting in terms of difficulty, especially compared to like games like Mario 3. But then you get to the last boss and it's like, what did I do to deserve this? What was that? I kind of just spun out of control there, but it's okay. We might even trigger a special stage. Now that's the orange star special stage is the casino one, the gambling one. Why did I say gambling? That sounds so wrong. Oh, it's the one where you can do like the slot machine, and that's not that one. It's a trap. It's a trap. I've just never had success with those things. Is turboing what you're supposed to do there? Yeah. Oh, okay. I forgot about that part. That part can get a little. We're back up here. Bounce. There we go. There's another part coming up too that you have to kind of time the jump on. Yeah, isn't it this? And it's like you gotta. Oh. My reaction time kind of just died there. Oh god. We are in what's called the cycle of infinite screw-ups. Let's see here. We gotta... I forgot what you do here. Do you just jump it? No. You think after playing this game like 90 million times, I would know how to do this stuff like, hair trigger, but... So we gotta go up here. There we go. And, this is the one that just breaks, right? Yeah. Oh, for a second there I thought I was gonna have to tap out. This boss is kind of quirky. Always like the ambiance of it. Alright, let this guy spin around. I don't mess around with this. You can hit him when he's, when the ice chunks are at a certain angle, and go over here, go back, hit him, maybe, no. Another weirdly simple boss, like, if you just let this thing do its thing, it's stupidly easy. But no problems there, we are flying through. Oh, I honestly did not expect that, but okay. Cool. We are rolling. Down some coffee. Alright. Yeah, and then Sonic 1, of course, is similar to Sonic 2 in that while the game, I believe, the core game is more difficult, the last boss also has something of a difficulty spike. Every fight in the game up till that point. Yeah, by the way, for those of us who are casual Sonic fans and don't know the ins and outs of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, this level's weird. This level can go one of two ways. It can either be an absolute pain, or it can be the easiest level in the game. If you go the top route, this level is pretty much a cinch until you get to the boss. If you go the bottom route and you allow yourself to go into the cave too soon, you encounter what is probably one of the most difficult parts of any Sonic game. I think I dodged the board. Yeah, we're gonna pop out of the cave here, right? And we have effectively turned what is a 5-minute long death slog of a level into effortless cake. Is that what I think there's another way to avoid even this part, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and then we go up here and then it's over. Yeah, no, there's a way to even avoid that, I believe, if you make that one jump. I think there's also a way to avoid even the first portion of the area when you like go into the cave, but I never seem to grab it with Sonic. It's easier to get to with Tails. But yeah, here we go. And yeah, and I just basically beat the level. I mean, it's well, so-called. We have to get to the boss, and this is the one I was talking about. The one of the hardest regular Sonic bosses, I would say. Easily one of the hardest regular Sonic bosses. At least I have my lightning shield, but we'll see how much mileage that gets us. We have to damage this thing a lot. See, with the lightning shield, you can hit him like this. Nice. I didn't actually... Yeah, see. The lightning shield turns this fight into a joke. Which is something I have no problems with. No problem with at all. That boss sometimes gives me fits even to this day. Bam. Alright, so that's out of the way. We are just flying, folks. We are flying. But yeah, Sonic 1. Sonic 1, the core game, is definitely the hardest Sonic game. There's parts of this game that kind of come close. I think of parts of this level, Lava Reef, Flying Battery can be annoying a little bit. Sandopolis Act 2 is a chore, but Sonic 1 had brutal parts, especially because of the spike glitch. You know, you get hurt in the wrong place and you'll just instantly just get... I just walked right into that. I don't know what I was doing, but yeah, you walk into the spikes in Sonic 1, and you know, everybody knows about the spike glitch. You know, you get hit and you land on more spikes and you die. So there's two types of death pits in Sonic 2. There's spikes and there's the just regular death pits. So you got that. What was that? Anyway, so not only that, but there was level design quirks in Sonic 1, I think, that made it just more difficult. Labyrinth Zone is just extremely complicated. Sometimes you don't know where to go. Scrap Brain is a mess. Starlight Zone has, I think, the most death pits of any level in a Sonic game, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, but I think either it's the most or it's pretty damn close. I think there's whole parts of that level that are actually over death pit, but you don't. If you play it right, you don't realize it at the time. You just kind of jump on the ledges and you just go about your business. But so that alone makes it kind of a tricky thing. But then they ramped the difficulty up even more by forcing you to fight the final boss without any rings. I don't know why that became a thing, and I'm happy they corrected it in this game. I mean, granted, if you die, don't you have to fight the last boss without any rings anyway? So they kind of give you like a... No, you have to... I think it allows you to like take your shield in, and then like if you die, you can't get the shield, and you get like 3 courtesy rings or something like that. I don't know. But they definitely rectified it to a certain degree in this game. And then of course Doomsday Zone, the official final level, is a completely different beast entirely. Did they show footage of another type of spiky ball dude? Don't you like bounce off their little they have like spheres around them and you bounce off them? I think that's pretty cool. I forget where I saw that in the realm of Sonic Mania madness, but I always try to make that jump, but it's not smart. There we go. We don't want to get double crushed. Wow, that was lucky. Am I going the right way? Sometimes it's hard to tell. Launch base has a loose definition of what going the right direction and not is, so. We are moving, we are shaking, but yeah, no. And then you've got Sonic 3, and the game is completely different than Sonic 1 and Sonic 2 in the sense that they just allow you to casually carry rings into the final boss. Same thing with Sonic and Knuckles, and this, you know, the combination. Wow, I should have chanced that. You can just jump on top of that, actually. But no harm. We have 20 lives. Probably a few continues up our sleeve, too. So we are set. We probably, I mean, if I die 20 times in this playthrough, I probably won't even show it to the world because that's just shameful. You're only allowed to die 20 times in terribly constructed ROM hack-esque platformers like Bubsy, which are so much more brutal than the Sonic games, and they're supposedly Sonic clones. I always laugh when people call games like Bubsy a Sonic clone when their physics are completely 100% different. And you can get pummeled in this game as long as you have rings. You can just get, you know, you can just take damage for days, and nothing will come of it. You get hit one wrong way, if someone looks at you wrong in Bubsy, you just fall over. I mean, how can you call them the same game? What, because they're a character and you run? You're a character, you're an anthropomorphized, or what do they call it, like an anthropomorphic animal, and you can run and jump. So it's a Sonic clone? I never got that. If anything, Sonic's a Mario clone. I know a lot of Sonic fans will probably, like, curse me to the depths for saying, oh, they're different games. Yeah, well, they are different games, but, you know, if you can call games like Bubsy and Ristar and Socket Sonic clones, then Sonic's a clone Mario. I can see that dislikes piling up already. Whatever. They don't... The distinction people make with that stuff, I've always found it hilarious. Like, all these games are their own game. Platformers are platformers. They're a genre. I mean, what would a platformer... I mean, I think only in recent years, like the last, 10 years, did platformers redefine themselves as a genre. Like, the action platformer turned from a little character jumping on ledges and collecting little items and stuff to said characters doing the same thing but with more tools. They had guns, you know, the type of utility and pseudo RPG elements that you can find in like the Jak and Daxter series, and you know, things like that, where and you know, where like a lot of these games, oh, why did I do that? That never works. A lot of these games have by pseudo RPG elements, I mean, you know, in this game, there's no real progression in terms of strength. Like, your character is always the same. Why'd I hit that? Your character's always the same level. You can always take the same hits. You can always, you're always the same power. The enemies are always one hit. There's no real differential there. So it's a complete action game, complete platformer. Now, I think everything tries to be at least somewhat of an RPG, which is good and bad. Because the core platforming gameplay is... Oh! That was... Wow. Yeah, that was close. We almost bit it. But yeah, no, the idea that all the Genesis platformers are just a bunch of Sonic clones, and same thing with Mario. You know, there was a bunch of clone-esque Sonic games that came out on Super Nintendo too, but they're not clones. They're just made in the spirit of the game. You know, you got a character, it runs around, it collects things. It's fast. You know, it uses speed as a gimmick. I mean, so Mario doesn't. I think you could argue that. Oh no, I done lost all my rings. We might get wrecked here. We can just get up there, and there we go. But yeah, no. I think there's a lot of speed elements in Mario, especially Super Mario 3. I would easily argue that Super Mario Bros. 3 is a more speed-based game than Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Easily. Think of all the times in Mario 3 where in order to progress through the level, you have to run. You have to do the running action where your meter's at full, and you have to either fly to a certain area, or you have to make a certain jump with the speed element. There's no place that is like that in Sonic. You just in these games you just run, and if there's like not a specific jump, you just you run, get a longer head start, or your turbo or whatever. Like it's just kind of like it just flows better. But in Mario, the speed's an actual palpable kind of part of the whole. You know, like it's got a meter and everything. You don't have a speed meter in Sonic. I know it sounds kind of weird, but you really think about it, like, yeah, this boss is a joke. It's fun though. Yeah, I once again making the distinction. The gameplay is also faster in Mario. Of course, like the way Sonic flows and the speed of the gameplay, you can't replicate that in other games. It's always had a certain feel to it that just feels right. But undeniably, when you're sped up in Mario, you go pretty fast. When you're sliding down hills, you go pretty fast. I mean, Mario, his little legs move all quickly, and he makes the little cute little running sound. Even Sonic doesn't have a cute little running sound. So, what are we really talking about? I mean, we could easily make the case that Sonic is a clone of the Mario-style platform, just repackaged with different physics. But is there anything wrong with that? No. Not at all. And that's where people, I think, they get too caught up in this idea that it's bad that, like this is a clone, and it doesn't do this that Sonic did, it doesn't do that Sonic did. If that were the case, we would have never had a lot of the ingenuity and innovation that has come to mark video games as, what they are. They steadily evolve. They're always trying out new things. And that's a Sonic Mania. I'm sure Sonic Mania is going to draw elements from other games that are not necessarily the core Sonic games. Like they said, like there's a new, what is that touching, when you touch down, you can automatically like, shoot off, like speed up or something. Oh wow, yeah, that's right. I forgot you don't fight the Sonic 3 final boss when you're Sonic, right? That's only with Knuckles. So we're already in Mushroom Hill. I kind of wanted to stop here and pause the playthrough. Actually, I think that is what we were going to do. We were going to take a quick break, and I'm going to see you guys in Mushroom Hill right after Sonic watches the Death Egg plummet down to the ocean.